Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Jane's Fighters Anthology as we continue with the reference materials. Today we'll be finishing off with the AA-11B Backfire. R-73 Backfighter. Title, Sting in the Tail, AAM for Russian Fighters. Byline, Charles Bickers, London. Article, there is new evidence about the Russian Air Force's ability and intent to equip tactical fighters with rear-firing missiles. JDW first revealed plans for rear fighting ability in February of last year. JDW 20 of February 1993. You'll notice this is from Jane's Defense Weekly and not from one of their actual like their actual Archer was from Jane's air launched weapons. And you'll notice this is just an article from basically a defense publication. Jane's Defense Weekly first revealed plans for rear fighting ability in February last year. JDW 20 February 1993, following comments on the Sukhoi Su-35 made by Major General Vasily Alexandrov, chief of the Central Scientific and Research Institute of the Russian Federation Air Forces. Russia's latest type, the Su-34 attack aircraft, is equipped with a long-range Sting radome, with a long Sting radome in its tail, which clearly has room for a rear-facing tracking or acquisition sensor. Also, Missile Design Bureau Vimpel, which is responsible for the R-73 AA-11 Archer, the standard tactical infrared-guided air-to-air missile, recently revealed details of test launches of rear-firing R-73 missiles from an Su-27 flanker fighter aircraft. According to Vimpel, the missile is launched facing backwards with the launch rail rotated before and during flight. Missile control at low speed is achieved using thrust vectoring. Launching missiles facing rearwards is not thought to be technically difficult, provided the missile propellant is protected while the missile is being carried. Soviet aircraft have previously been fitted with rear-facing radars for gun control on bomber aircraft, behind on Tu-22 and fantail on the Tu-22M. Rearward-firing missiles are thought to have been tested in the West. However, the effectiveness of the sensors in the constrained and hostile environment inside a fighter aircraft is thought to have limited the tactical feasibility of such systems. Vimpel states that the designation for the R-73 will be provided via a background view inboard SIC radar. It quotes a minimum effective range of 1 kilometer and a maximum of 10 to 12 kilometers for the weapon, and Vimpel claims the system can be fired in supersonic flight. And here we can see it is, as far as the game's concerned, other than the it is a little different. Actually, that's a lot different. That's a much shorter motor, different tail fins. They've obviously got this yellow cap as opposed to the the standard white one. I'm kind of surprised because it should just be the same, based on the article. It should be the same missile, just facing backwards and fired backwards and cued to the rear sensor instead of the front sensor, but apparently there's some technical differences there. But we probably had this fired at us, but I generally wasn't paying too much attention in the it would have been during the Russia campaign or the Baltics. Well, yeah, we'll call it the Baltics campaign. And like I said, I'm sure it's been fired at us. It might be carried default by the Su-34 or Su-35. I couldn't tell you off the top of my head, but obviously in the heat of combat, what's one more missile, right? But yeah, there's been some evidence that there might be such systems, but they don't seem to be widely deployed, to my knowledge, even within the Russian Federation. So I think they're still coming up against some technical limitations. Mainly, these stingers are between your engines, which is an extremely hot place to be. Like, it's hard enough to build engines, and now you gotta build something that's gotta survive back there while also being a sensor. That's pretty tough. So I imagine that's played a role in somewhat in basically preventing like rear-facing radars from being widespread. Really, Russia's the only one that tries to use them. And but I think the West also just kind of makes up for that with, you know, the tactical data link. You know, if you have an AWACS watching over, you don't necessarily need a rear-facing radar because you got the AWACS to tell you where everything is, and you can have that data uploaded directly to your fighter. But that's enough of my armchair commentary. So with that, thank you all for watching, and stay tuned for next time, and stay safe out there, and we'll see you then.